Okay, so listen, when you're applying for business funding, it is imperative that you select the right industry, right? Because there's high risk and there's low risk industry. Because if you select the wrong industry, you are going to get denied for funding. Because listen, there's something called cash intensive businesses. So these are businesses that require a lot of capital, to get it started, right? And you can get denied for funding if you are in that category. And then there's high risk industries. And then there is also what's known as money services businesses, right? So listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two different applications from two different banks so you can see what the requirements are, so what they're looking for. So this is one of the banks that I want to show you. As you can see here, they're looking for the exact code, your NAICS code, so your North America Industry Classification System code, right? And then I'm going to go through it. As you can see here, these are the codes. So this is what they're looking for. They're looking to know what industry are you in. And then I'm going to show you another application where they're going to ask for the business industry. So you have to know exactly what industry you're in, and then so on. So, okay, so this is what I'm going to talk about. Now, just before I continue, I'm going to leave the link below to the Funding Academy, because in the Funding Academy, I actually have a list of low risk and high risk industries, and then also the exact code that you need to put in the application. So that way the application process is precise, right? So I have the codes for the low risk industries in the Funding Academy. I'm going to leave the link below. Hey, listen, the price is going up by the end of this month. So that's why you want to get in, so you can get this information and get massive business funding for your brand new business. So the link is below to the Funding Academy. So let's go through, let me get on with this video. So North America Industry Classification System codes, right? So as you can see here, there's different types of codes, right? So there's many industries, different sectors. So you have to be precise, right? So for example, if I click here, it's going to tell you, right? So this is from Stats Canada website. It's going to tell you the industry, right? So industries, codes starting from 48 to 49. These are transportation and warehousing industries, and it tells you what type of industries they're in. And then it gives you the subsector, right? So they gives you the exact code. So for example, retail transportation, it's going to give you the code, and it's going to give you the subsector code. So it gets very complicated and complex. So that's why you need to know the exact code. So you have to be precise, right? So as you can see here, it gives you the code 4821. Right, so that's the code for rail transportation, right? So it gives you the subsector. Now, watch this, right? If we go, this is one of the credit applications. So this is a real credit application, a real business credit application. This is what they're going to ask you. They're going to ask you for the NAICS code. What is your North America Industry Classification code? As you can see, so you have to be very precise here, because you can't just enter anything. You have to select, all right? You have to select what industry you're in, right? So if you end up selecting the wrong industry, right, then you're going to get denied for funding. So you see, this is the exact code, because they're looking for the exact code. Now, if I'm going to show you another application. So now this application here, right, if you just enter in real estate, let's say real estate, right? It's going to give you, right? It's going to auto-populate it, but it's not going to give you the code, right? So different applications have their own format, right? So here, for example, let's say we click here, right? So you see self-storage and mini warehouse. So it doesn't give you the exact code. It just auto-populates it. So that's why you want to be precise. You want to know exactly what industry you're in, because this is how this is how it's called the North American Industry Classification System code. And this is how the banks are able to know what industry you're in, whether you're in a high risk industry or you're in a low risk industry, right? Because you have cash intensive businesses. These are businesses that require a lot of cash for it to get started, right? So let's say if you want to start, the convenience retailers, right? Or you want to start a nursery garden center. If you want to start a department store. So these are what you call cash intensive businesses, right? And they also has the code, right? Because listen, when you're applying, the banks want to know, okay, what industry are you in? Are you in a high risk or you're in a low risk industry? Now, when you tell them, for example, let's say you tell them you are in you're in the transportation business, right? They don't really know whether it's a high or if it's a high or low risk. They will only know once they figure out that code, right? So that's why they're asking for the code. They want to know what is the code, what industry code are you in? Because once you select the industry code, automatically the underwriting guideline, the credit application is going to pick that up. They're going to know that, okay, based on this code, you are in the high risk industry, because every industry, all the industries are already, they've already been categorized, right? They've already been tabulated. So so the banks, lenders, credit unions, they already know what they have this information embedded in the credit application. So this is why I'm always talking about the credit underwriting guideline. You have to know the underwriting guideline, because a lot of these applications are instant approval application, right? So if you put the right code, if you put the wrong code, once you hit submit, you're going to get denied for funding because you are in a high risk industry, right? Because it's already embedded in these applications. So that's why in the Funding Academy, this is what I talk about, right? How to structure your business properly, structure your business properly to make sure that you are in a low risk industry, avoiding high risk industries and so on. So that way, when you hit that submit button, right? Because it's instant approval, right? It's verifying your information in real time. So once you hit the submit button, it will know, okay, based on this information, on this credit application, this applicant is in a high risk industry. Therefore, we're going to deny them for funding, right? So this is what you call the North American Industry Classification System code. Very important. This is essential. You have to know this when you're applying for business funding, because every business that you start or whatever business that you're in has a industry classification system code, right? It has a code, it has right, code, subsector, whatever you want to call it, right? The banks already know what industry you're in based on the information that you put. As you can see here, right? If I go here, it's going to tell you the code, right? So if you are in, right, funds and other financial vehicles, right, there's the code right there, 5261. So anything in finance, real estate, is considered high risk industry, right? So that's why I showed you two different applications. One application is going to ask you to identify your business, right? Because as you can see here, it actually says click here to manually search for your industry. So you can manually search. Now, if you don't know your industry, this is going to take time for you, right? It's going to take time because you have to go through it, right? You have to go through, you see, subsector, right? You have to know your subsector, what sector you're in. So if you don't know, select your industry group. So this is actually the most complicated way to go about it, right? But if you already know your industry code, right? As some banks, that's what they ask. They just directly ask for the industry code. So if you know your industry code, then you can just select your industry code because the codes are already in there. So listen, this is the type of information that I'm always talking about when it comes to funding, how to access capital, because you can access funding for a brand new business once you know this information, how to position your personal credit properly, how to structure your business, how to, avoiding high risk and low risk industry, right? Because this is how I was able to secure funding. I was able to secure funding. I was able to secure over $250,000 in unsecured business funding in revolving credit, business lines of credit, business credit card, business credit lines, right? For a brand new business, because I knew industry, how to categorize my industry and which banks to go with. Because as I showed you, each bank, right? Banks have their own credit application system, and it's different. Every bank has a different credit application system. So you have to be very specific. You have to know what industry you're in. So this is why I'm always talking about it's easy to get funding, but you have to have the right strategy. You have to know how to execute that strategy. You have to know which banks to go with, right? So that's why, listen, in the Funding Academy, right? This is where I have all these resources for you. I have grants, I have industries to stay away from, I have the industry codes. All this is in the Funding Academy. I'm going to leave the link below in the description section and also in the comment section. And as I said, the price is going up by the end of this month. So that's why I'm doing these videos for you. So listen, this is pretty much it. And as I said, right, make sure you are, well, not avoid, but I'm telling you this information so that you know that there are cash intensive businesses that banks don't really like lending money to, because these businesses require a lot of capital, and then there's high risk industries and so on. So all right, so listen, I am out of here. I will see you all in the next video. I am